Let's go in the Wayback Machine, see if it
What we're gonna do right here is go back.
vibes. Way back.
Back into time.
Let's switch our category. There we go. And let's bring me back. I don't know, does this feel arty? Maybe if it's low. I think if it's low. Yeah, the art vibes are coming on in. Sick B. Oh, thank you. Let's see here. Let's get my laptop plugged up. So let me put the B back up. I forgot I do that during the B scene too. All right, we're plugged up. Okay. Bring me back. Here we are. And okay. We might not have a lot of arting today. For anybody who wasn't here at the top of stream, we are going to be doing Pummel Party with Time Woes at 11:30 p.m. Central. So we'll have to keep our other streams a little tighter today. Did I make that? Okay, this is controversial. The B is AI generated vectors. I'm not the most comfortable with it. And so all the animals that are kind of our mascots for our different sections are AI generated. Yeah, I'm not the most comfortable with it. So I would not say that I made it. I think there's like this curious question of what does it mean when you are the prompt engineer over multiple iterations of an AI generator to get something. You're sort of like more like a curator of things. So there definitely was like an act of curation trying to get these kind of 5 animal symbols to read like they belong as a set. And then all of them have a kind of cohort of symbols. Like if you look all the way in the back, the backgrounds of all of these are composed of sort of like icon versions of these things that are arrayed in patterny ways. So I would like to redraw all of them at some point so that they actually are mine, but yeah. Volt says, you stream so long, I'm impressed every time. Oh, thank you. It's really fun. I enjoy it like quite a bit. And all of these like segments that we do are really like fulfilling to me in different
Back
ways.
in the lion's den. You know what I'm sick and tired of? The Democrats making us wear rubbers.
Yeah.
You raw dog?
Do you raw dog?
Pardon?
Do you raw dog?
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too. So there we go. There's that. Olivia says, I was hoping that wasn't the case. That's fair. Totally fair sentiment. As somebody who enjoys making art, I definitely understand the kind of like antagonist view towards AI art. And it was something that I wrestled with for a little bit of like, do I want to? And for whatever reason, I landed on the side of expediency in this case. Maybe it's the wrong decision, but one tends to get what one puts in. The number 42. I think this is a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide. Is this? Hoodie says, gotta lurk for now. BBL, have a nice stream. Thank you. Thank you for the lurk. Thanks for coming in, Hoodie. It's always nice to see you. Cole says, I've seen Rex manually update thousands of icons, and I'm glad you're embracing some experimenting. Yeah, I do also do very manual tasks. So yeah, I mean, even so this is where it does like feel difficult for me as well, though. Like so I could redraw them, but now I would be very clearly like redrawing something that came from AI, right? And I think to me the most ethically curious or contentious piece of all of this is the fact that it is using actual people's art, right? It's not like the AI machine just knew these things and knew how to it knew what a bee was and knew how to translate that. It, for the most part, is stealing other bees that other people have drawn. I don't know if I redraw it. I guess maybe it's the same as if I found somebody's bee sample and did that. We're entering like a very weird place in the world, which is ultimately what this artwork is about, right? So maybe this art large scale artwork is kind of me wrestling with these things. Okay, with all of that said, let's go ahead and look at some of the art in the Discord before we get going on our artwork. Did I make a thing for that? I guess not, but let's do that. Go look in the art and add. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, let's do something like this. This will probably get us the best. Let's see, when we click on stuff, where does it pop up? Okay, no, I guess we have to go wide. Hey, Birdbag! Thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. Cole says, I just feel sad about people mindlessly creating stupid shit with millions of kilowatts and simultaneously blocking renewables. Yeah. Yep. But I suppose as anybody who's been here for a while knows, like all those little deep fried videos, like those are primarily AI also. So I'm just a bundle of contradictions here, I suppose. Coco, hi. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for the compliment. It's always very nice to see you. I hope you have a very nice lurk. And I think you're streaming later, so I hope you have a very nice stream as well. So Cole here. Ooh, right, the houndstooth. Cole here does a lot of Second Life, which for anybody who doesn't know is like a virtual world that you can interact with and build with, and you can even own property in. So Cole owns this piece of property they've titled Weed Sea, and there's a whole kind of mythos about it. And one of the spaces is this kind of like giant sky kind of floating, airy. It's like water cycles, if water cycles became a building, and it's sort of always under experimentation and stuff. So, hospitality or warning, don't say names, please. I'm not sure what that is regarding. You can tell me more, but customizing a safe house for Rex using a chatbot visualized in SL. So this is some photography from in-world that we are looking at here. And I thought it was rather artistically composed, and we can see our houndstooth from last stream has made it in as this kind of pattern. This is a chatbot, which I think is GPT powered, that is in universe, so it can kind of be talked to. And we see here, there's like, we're like way up in the sky, so there's sort of no horizon at this point, which is sort of an interesting thing. Birdbig says, I shall leave a lurk whilst I work. Okay, thank you for the lurk. Thanks for coming in. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I messed up and said the name of the location. Let's see what else we have here. So we've got our mermaid fin here, because I think this is one of the fun things you can do in Second Life is put on, like, I'm not sure if this is clothes or if this is a another model for your avatar. But there's a lot of different kind of experimenting you can do. So I think this is a mermaid fin pants, if I'm remembering correctly. Here I really like the kind of use of shapes. It's sort of like minimalist background. Those are skyboxes. Volt said, I want the swamp. And this is interesting too. So Second Life has like a pretty robust kind of geometry kind of editor. And we're seeing some of that here. We've got like a torus that's sort of like cut up, and it looks like a part of a sphere that's kind of making a little dome. I really like compositionally here how we have this. This is like a piece of glass that we're up against here. And we can see the sky settings of this have been sort of changed to something more muted. And we have our figure here kind of being this splitting device that then carries the lines of that glass. I think that's pretty neat. So on one side, it's really just kind of like blank minimalist canvas with a slight gradient. And then over here, we start to get kind of a space that we can read, but it's also sort of liminal, and we can just sort of see geometry if we want. So that's pretty neat. The story arc was kind of non-chronological before and after deciding to use it every time. I think that, let's see, a whole sky world constructed by people, now invaded by our bots, or welcoming our bots. I like that. These are some more of the houndstooth patterns kind of integrating. Here we're looking through our kind of like chatbot ring, which I think is sort of or chatbot donut. It's an interesting articulation for a chatbot. Here looking through, it looks like kind of a patterned glass with that houndstooth. Pretty neat. This is pretty cool. I love the, there's just like a really interesting energy to the positioning of the avatar here. To me, it's like almost kind of like suggestive of one being like called up, pulled up by like alien beam, or sort of like there's like resurrection sort of vibes to me as well. The bot is offline, but when you click it, it still says memory reset, ready for a new conversation. Innocent, sinister. I feel like the houndstooth represents something individual about you, who this safe house area was designed for. Well, thank you. But also how I invaded that safety by experimenting with GPT in it. Wanted to look like Ariel. Yeah. And a couple more here. This is fun. Kind of looking through the portal. World transformed by our new looking glasses. And here as well. A kind of different energy, right? Like this other one here, it's like there's almost a sense of wonder that feels like it's being articulated. This feels like maybe there's almost something, kind of a reverence for it is a little bit what I'm reading. It was all inspired by the eye vision. Okay, cool. Cool. And then, of course, we get the zoom in here of the final judgment with Michelangelo. Just a cheeky little fingering. And somebody is enjoying themselves. I think that's enjoyment. Are we seeing enjoyment? I'd like to think it's enjoyment. Don't try this, hell fiends. In the Pope's chapel, we have a nice little fingering. Okay, that was lovely. Thank you for feeling comfortable enough to share your art in there. Sorry about the slip up of the you know what. And yeah, thank you for sharing. That was very nice to look at. Okay. So with art, also, if anybody else, hi Nibiru, thanks for coming in. It's good to see you. How was your week? And how has your Friday been? Hopefully you're now on to a weekend of some sorts, and hopefully that's fun. Let us know if you have any fun weekend plans. If anybody else feels like sharing their art, feel free to drop it in the, where is this showing up? In the Discord. Also, if you have artists that any of the kind of things that we're talking about, it like fires off some connections. Feel free to drop the names of those artists or artworks in the chat, and we'll try to look at those at the end of our art section. And a lot of that stuff is actually really starting to influence the way that I'm thinking about all of this artwork that we're working on. So before we jump right into the doing of art, we'll take a quick look through our little concept board here that we've been working on. There's some nice additions today that I kind of wanted to chat through. And then we should still have about 20 minutes of arting to do. 20 or 25. Nibiru says 7 minutes until I'm free. Woohoo! Almost there. We're hosting a TTRPG mini paint party this Sunday. Oh, that's very cool. That's very, very cool. Is it from a specific tabletop? Or is it just kind of open? Whoever wants to bring whatever. Okay, these are our big descriptors on this page of what we are doing. A 24 by 36 artwork, watercolor and pointillism, which is a style I've been working in. We are working with sort of the styles or elements of tessellation, many things, symbolically laden elements. All those get described a little bit more on following pages. And I think the overall concept that we're starting to land on is nature versus industry. And as we've been chatting about right now, this kind of thought of AI versus humanity. What are the ways that these tools are starting to infiltrate the world proper and our minds and all of that stuff? Watercolor and pointillism. This is sort of the style that I've been working in for the past year. This is some samples of some artwork that I've been working on. So yeah, that's the description there. For symbolically laden elements, we are kind of looking at these two pieces of artwork. So one by Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel, The Final Judgment. And then this one as well, Frida Kahlo. Just really like how they're able to sort of like mix and match symbolism in a very dense kind of way. And it's not necessarily exactly descriptive of a message, but it's a little bit open and sort of provoking of thoughts. Our kind of many things. This is our Donald Judd sculpture. Arrayed rectangles that sort of make other rectangles, and then there's many of those kinds of rectangular prisms that are around, sometimes around the museum, and then also they're all over the world. So this idea of kind of meta objects forming out of an array of many smaller things, I think, is a notion. Tessellation from Escher, and here we also get ideas of nature versus industry. And then these are artworks that have been suggested by folks in chat. So Father Flowers directed us to these. I think this is Goya. I need to go through and label these, but these are the black paintings. And in our artwork, we've started thinking about this kind of AI system that's looking down from above at sort of the plane of nature and humanity that's kind of being captured or sucked up by it. And I started thinking about maybe we have some of, in addition to this kind of like AI eyeball that's looking down from above, maybe in this kind of sky area, we also have kind of big figures of this. So to me, my brain immediately goes Musk, Zuckerberg, Bezos. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think there's, maybe that ends up being too literal. Maybe that gets cut. But I like in this one how there's this kind of like demon whispering in the ear. And then in this one, this kind of humanoid monster that is eating this other human alive. So I don't know if there's a way to kind of capture that sort of darkness. This, I believe this was recommended by Nibiru, actually. Totally blanking on this person's name, but all of these skeletons kind of running. So when we're looking at the kind of orange bands that we've been working with, on Wednesday, we started to look at the houndstooth as kind of being this pattern that maybe starts to represent energy and electricity, kind of capturing nature and these human systems and sort of funneling up into the AI as kind of this energy that's running across the page and subdividing it and segmenting it. To me, I started to wonder, is there also a sort of counterflow So maybe there's another kind of mesh of bands. And to me, this started to be maybe sort of like humans on movalators, or the kind of like walking sidewalks. And maybe this is too literal. Some of these things are starting to feel like too literal, but into kind of graves. So kind of out of these pieces of nature, or out of these kind of captured human constructions. We also have this kind of like line of, and we'll have to figure out, I think it needs to stay kind of patterny. And I think maybe that's a little bit the point also, is just sort of seeing these large masses of human skeletons on movalators headed towards graves. There's another piece of artwork by the same artist where it's like Notre Dame in the background and sort of a field of graves out in front. So there's that's kind of a little bit. This is Harmonious Bosch, which is and the Garden of Earthly Delights. I really started to connect with these kind of towers as maybe sort of these elements of human construction, the kind of human carve-outs. And then that started to get me realizing that part of what I've been thinking about is with this, particularly with our kind of like trapped piece of nature that's been in the middle of our screen, or in the middle of the artwork, is this sort of projective piece of architectural artwork by Rem Koolhaas. Rem Koolhaas is one of the sort of biggest names in architecture, operating through the 90s and early 2000s, and I think certainly would still be considered so today, but I've been a little bit out of touch with the architecture world for a while. But he actually came out of journalism. So he has a very unique and kind of like story and narrative based approach to architecture, and really sort of pioneered the movement of the kind of diagram becoming articulated as form in architecture. That as a movement is really kind of launched by him. But early in his career, he has this piece, and it's the captive globe. And sort of some of the ideas he's working with here is the idea of Manhattan's grid as this kind of rigorous mathematical construction that humans have placed over this natural landscape. And the way that inside of that sort of, it's almost the exacting rhythm of the grid of Manhattan that allows for these little segments to all become their own little kind of worlds or universes. And then kind of musing on the fact that inside of this, the one big carve out is this kind of Central Park, and it ends up being this kind of trapped piece of nature. So I did want to bring that into this board here. And I think in some ways, some of what Koolhaas is picking up is this even older project of Le Corbusier. So Le Corbusier was around the early 1900s, and this was this moment where steel and glass and concrete are finally sort of coming into or returning to architecture, in the case of concrete. And it opens up all of these kinds of new questions about how we build and how urbanism organizes itself. So this is, I think the project is Plan Voisin, or sort of vision for a new city is the idea. So here we have Paris, and there's sort of this notion of the tabula rasa. So where a lot of architecture had been very focused on context, so looking at exactly what's around you in your site and then your architecture or building should be informed by its neighbors. This is sort of a different kind of proposal that's saying, let's think about the city as a blank slate. And so here he's actually proposing to like level a huge portion of 1920s, 30s Paris and sort of reestablish a city built around buildings that are their own cities and sort of having a much more like almost mathematical approach to assembling space. So there's elements of that I feel in here, and in some ways I feel like our artwork is playing with some of these same ideas. With that, before I get into doing some art, we'll go ahead and catch up with chat, which I've seen is rolling by here. Volt says, yo, that sounds fun with regards to the tabletop RPG minis. Nubira says, it's open, but specifically I'll be painting some monsters and terrain for my D&D homebrew campaign. Oh, very cool. Very, very cool. Volt, I think, is also into D&D stuff, so we've definitely got a little D&D crew here. If you want to post any pictures of those in the Discord, Nubira, that would make me very happy if you're comfortable with that when you're done. But no worries if not also. Cole says, the rectangular stacks inspired me for how codices / books could evolve in SL. Oh, cool. In the desert, Satan tries to get Jesus to give away his agency in exchange for the world. Have a nice lurk, Volty. Appreciate you being here. Cole says, people seem so tempted to just surrender all agency and critical thinking because we are so disconnected from our own nature and ability to direct energy. I like that sentiment. Zombies. In your head, they are fighting. I'm wondering now, what is literal? Is there organic versus artificial literal? Analog literal versus digital literal? That's a complex thought. I like it. That's gonna take me some chewing on the idea of literalisms being different inside of different contexts. I think that makes sense to me in a way of, yeah, literal seeming to be meaning tied directly to like the objects of the space. So if the medium of the space is different, the literalisms are sort of different. Cole says, by the way, about AI assistants, Michelangelo had a team of painters filling in what he drew. That's also very true. Art is a complex and often very broadly collaborative kind of thing. Frida had an ecosystem of family and friends and comrades and lovers to endure all she did. AI is rushing into the voids we have created. That's an interesting observation as well. Anybody play City Skylines? Paris was partly rebuilt after fires, right? I didn't. I don't actually know I don't have a good sense of the full history there with Paris. I can say I presumed that after World War I and World War II, there was like damage that needed to be rebuilt. I know through architecture the story that much of France needed to be rebuilt and much of Europe needed to be rebuilt. And so some of Corbusier's thoughts and thinking were sort of coming from that need. No, I haven't seen the movie about how Paris was almost demolished. Okay. Let me get y'all closer over here. Uh-oh, where did my chat window go? There it is. There y'all are. Now I minimized you. That's not what I wanted. Okay. So last time we started to get in this little patterning of our electricity widgets, which are hound's teeth, smooshed into a 3060 grid. And we used that very small unit to build up to the grid for our canvas. And so I think maybe where we need to go today is two areas. So I think there's the collaging on of these kind of new ideas that emerged, right? So last time we had this notion of like the eyeball being this kind of thing that was coming in from the top. And then I think maybe playing with popping some of those figures in there, kind of collaged in, the Musk, Bezos, Zuckerberg. We can see maybe it'll just have too negative of vibes when they're there. We'll see. And then I think with that, starting to like remap out the board. So I think what I'm gonna do here is turn our colors off. And which layer are these on? Colors 3. There we go. Okay, we still got our little hound's teeth running through here. I think that's fine. And then I think I'm gonna copy our grid over and start just color blocking with that. But let's go ahead and get those other figures on here to help hold space for those. So we have eyeball. I think it's this one I wanted to use. We'll open this in Photoshop. If Photoshop will open. The Swedish ambassador convinced the Nazi commander not to obey Hitler's instructions. Uh-oh. It was all wired up with dynamite. Whoa. That's pretty crazy. The landmarks targeted included the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, Place de la Concorde, Notre Dame, and Invalides. Wow. Yeah, that's... that is some big stuff there. Okay. We'll grab this. Let's feather our edge a little bit. I suppose not totally necessary because this is just for collaging purposes. Do we shave as? Eyeball PNG. Okay. And I'm still not totally sure how we get our eyeball to read as AI in particular. So that'll be something to think about. Okay. And I think maybe we will see this kind of dominating in this space. Let's give it a downward looking thing. Maybe too large. Maybe off-center is more dynamic. Okay. Be careful which don't cause the singularity, yeah. Trying. Okay. Let's get our corporate cucks in here. We'll do messy. Embrace messy. I usually get way too precise with these things. There we go. Is the yay to, or the yesy to embracing messy? I don't understand what I feel like a super old right now. I don't understand what the whole WebP file format is. I don't like it. Different things interact with it differently. No, not a WebP. I want a PNG. Like it's not a format that's supported by everything yet. So I'm just like, what is this? Ugh. I don't know. We'll see if I can even like stand looking at these people. So my inclination is to, with these three figures, and maybe they become abstractions of these people as opposed to these people proper. But I really liked in the Final Judgment how one of the people has like their eyes going completely different directions. So having these figures kind of be their eyes sort of like on different things, right? Maybe each of them has an eye that's pointing up towards the eyeball watching back. And then each of them is sort of looking at one of these fields or something that they're particularly trying to dominate over. Maybe that's the point, to just feel the exhaustion of always focusing on these dudes. On dudes. Yeah. Can we just drag these dudes in? Okay, that's cleaner. And one of the questions we'll sort of want to be asking ourselves is, are they in a little chorus up here? All with each other? Or will they sort of be in different containers as well? What do those two approaches start to communicate differently from each other? I suppose is the question there. My inclination right now is to bucket them together. And maybe in this sky piece there's some counterbalancing force or not. This really, I always like when there can be odd numbers of elements. That feels most right to me. Okay. Let's get on to some of our color blocking up here. So we're going to duplicate our grid. Let's see. Let's duplicate another one down here. We're going to call this color grid. And we're just going to start giving these things different colors. Block the all-seeing eye. Our dark sky up here.
Hi, my name is Tig Notaro, and I feel gay about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
That's a first.
And I'm clocking that laughter as hate crime.
Did you see that I did not laugh? I solemnly
Do you see
nodded.
how I'm not looking over there?
And it was Matt Gorley who laughed. And laughed at the idea that someone could even be gay, which I thought was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gay?
Yeah.
I am dabbling.
Oh, I
I've
take
been
it back.
dabbling.
I'm dabbling.
Okay.
I like this here, where their square is starting to actually penetrate the horizon line here. Kind of these bridging figures. An immediate question that comes up here for me is, in these sort of color blocked fields, do we want to have two spaces of separation between these two? Or should those be one? And does this want to touch the edge? That feels very deliberate that this square is kissing that edge there. Like, I kind of liked it at first, but I'm sort of feeling like it doesn't want to. So let's go ahead and we'll sort of slide their color block up and over one. This can allow us to trap them as well inside of that little electric field. Cole says, when my girlfriends tried to tell me about some girlfriend's toxic manho, I'm like, this is not our teenage son. Please tell me about you. Speaking of Grindr, speak of the devil. Lol, lol, lol. Send him into orbit. Where they want to be. Our computer is like very angry today. I don't know if it's because we have Photoshop and Illustrator open or because it's hot. What's the cosmology of antiquity? We might also be approaching too many shapes in Illustrator. Illustrator eventually gets pretty sad when you have too many things. So we might have to start thinking about breaking out some of these spaces. Like the houndstooth pattern right now, I'm sure is adding tons of bloat to this. So having that kind of segregated in its own file might be something we have to approach. Okay. This is starting to feel correct to me. What will exist in these other corners is maybe a big question that starts to come around. The houndstooth as bloat is so appropriate. So we're going to start mapping in some of these energy lines now. And still, very relevant question is, how do we blur this horizon line? What happens there? I don't have an answer today. We let that be. Okay. Okay, we are right at our sort of limit of time for the day. I would probably go another half hour with this stuff, except for our time limit at the end of the day. And I do want to have an opportunity for us to do some community games as well. So, with that, let's go ahead and save out a little PNG of this today. Eventually, I want to assemble like a little flip book of all the days so that we can just watch the artwork progress. I think that'll be pretty neat whenever I can figure that part out. I also want our little inspiration deck up in the corner to be like sort of rolling through so that we're kind of always seeing alongside the artwork more of the ideas of where it kind of came from. Okay. There we go. Thank you for all the art conversation, everybody. It really does help kind of move along some of the ideas, so I appreciate it. Cole says, yes, a flipbook, that's what I did my photos for to make a GIF, but it wasn't working artistically. I see, so all you tried putting all of those things that are in the Discord into a GIF, but it just wasn't working. Okay. Let's go on over to our movement screen. And let's get some movement music. Or you know what? I think this is actually pretty good.